Well, first and foremost, I'd like to thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, yeah. So, so how was just in general chit chat? How was today? Did you get a training session in today?
Today I did my morning cardio. Right now, even though I'm not prepping for anything, I'm kind of just growing. I love to do morning cardio. I just want to get it done out of the way, and I feel like it's a good way to start my day off right. I'm gonna go back later on after this. I'm gonna hit back, some arms, and yeah, that'll round out my day.
So do you weight train once a day, or have you ever done 2 a days with regard to weight training?
That kind of depends. So, like, I'll do 2 a days, but I do it very intentionally.
Hmm.
If I'm gonna do weights twice a day, I'll start out with something light. Like, say, I'm gonna do my morning cardio, and then I'm gonna throw in some weighted abs. I'm gonna do some glute presses, some kickbacks, some calves, but I don't weight train large body parts twice a day. That's crazy to me.
Yeah. Some people like will like have done that in the past, and I just feel like it doesn't it's so hard to recover from that. It's almost impossible. And I never grow. Like I've done it a couple of times in the past because I've seen people do it, and I was like, I wonder if it benefits me. And then it doesn't. Like you never get enough done for one part. So it's like you always feel lacking, and then because you were doing like two larger body parts, like the recovery is just so difficult. I don't think anyone can really recover from something like that, you know?
100% agree. I think it's a little self-defeating. Yeah, it doesn't give your body enough time to recover. If you trained at the highest intensity that you possibly could have, there's no way you should be going twice a day. In my opinion,
Right.
my body, when I hit legs, when I hit shoulders, when I hit back, the thought of me going to train them again later on in the day, it doesn't work for me.
Yeah, and I
That's
think yeah, I think that's a key point that you made. It's if you're training the proper way, then that's like it would be too difficult to do multiple big body parts like that. I think sometimes what happens is people that do that often like will pull back on some of their training, almost like saving themselves because they know they've got more to do. And so I think that's the difference. It's like if you're training to the high intensity, it's going to be impossible for you to recover, from something like that. So I totally agree with you. But
100%.
yeah, but morning cardio is good. Do you feel like fasted cardio is better for your weight loss as far as like fat reduction and keeping still keeping your lines in, as especially like in the off season?
For me, yes. I'm not qualified to speak on any science part of it, but here's what it does for me
Hmm.
mentally doing fasted cardio. It holds me accountable, right? So we all know bodybuilding is like a lifestyle. So I tell myself, I'm gonna wake up at 4, I'm gonna be, at the gym by like 5, 5:30. I'm gonna get my fasted cardio in. It holds me accountable. And I
Hmm.
feel like in that regard, it has helped maintain my leanness through the growing season.
Right.
Now, as far as the science going, if your liver has glycogen in it and it's better, I mean, like, I've read articles that say fasted cardio is, bogus. I've seen studies where it's like the best thing since sliced bread. I just know it works for me
Yeah.
personally.
Same thing. It's like I've recently been seeing a lot of information about, fasted cardio is just like it's a mental thing. It doesn't really work. You don't really lose any more body fat. But I promise you when I do it, I feel like I'm leaner. Like even just a week of doing fasted cardio, staying regular on it, I feel like I'm getting leaner. And I can't imagine that that's all in my head, and so I do feel like it's something to it. Maybe science hasn't really fully, figured it out why it's the case, but I do definitely feel like there's something to it for sure.
Yes, and I also feel like a huge part of this lifestyle is the mental component. too as well. Like when you've got the mindset of, oh, getting this done is going to help me feel really lean. It's like your body just starts to react.
Right.
It just starts to do things to, it
Right.
just makes you react with whatever, whatever your mind tells it to do.
Sure.
It's all
Sure.
the mentality.
Yeah, I mean that's a big part of bodybuilding in general. A lot of people don't feel like don't understand that that's a huge component of bodybuilding. And I've seen, and I'll give you an example. I've seen the same people at my gym for years doing the same exercises as me, no difference, but for some reason they make no progress, and I make, I would just to be humble, I'll make some progress, right? But it's like there's a difference, even though the same motions are being done. I would imagine there's a mental component there that they're not quite reaching, and that's probably why they're not seeing some of the gains. So I feel like bodybuilding is hugely like a mental sport, and the body just kind of follows what the mind, you know, puts on the table, so to speak.
And that's why all the greats talked about the mind muscle connection. Even when you watch Pumping Iron, how Arnold is talking about, when he's doing the bicep curls and he just like envisions in his mind's eye the bicep. He's
All right.
just a bicep, that's all he's thinking about is just getting that pump in. And I feel like that's really lacking in today's gym culture. And I totally understand. I think the worst thing that ever happened to gym life, honestly, is the cell phone. One of my old coaches, he was an OG bodybuilder, and he would always go on and on about, these people, these kids with their cell phones at the gym. And now I've become so aware when people are just sitting and like, they're, there's some
But,
people that I swear to geez, I swear, I try not to, heaven forgive me, but they spend more time on their cell phones than they do training, and I'm like, why did you come?
yeah,
So I what I do is people know they cannot get a hold of me on my cell phone. I take my cell phone, I throw it in the bottom of my gym bag, which everybody who knows me knows that I've got 14 million things in my gym bag. So if I'm looking for that phone again, I'm like running around through towels, through like all sorts of gym gear. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. So I just have my Apple Watch, my earphones, and I really feel like that helps me stay on track.
yeah, I definitely could see that, and for sure, people like Lee Priest and Dorian Yates and all the greats, they obviously didn't have anything distracting them at the gym like we do today. It does take like focus, to say, okay, I'm not going to use the cell phone during this time. I
Yes.
do wonder, just to pose to you, do you feel like it's just because social media has gotten so popular and has popularized fitness that it's becoming more of a I don't even know what the word to use, just like more of a social event to come to the gym rather than a training time. That makes sense.
As someone who literally just started social media end of May, so I've been at it very short
Really?
time.
Okay.
Um, you're talking to a girl who loves to train for training's sake. I
Mhm.
love the feeling of lifting weights, just of getting that pump on. So for me, getting into social media, taking the time at the end of my workout to actually do a post, it's still very hard for me because, or even like when I'm trying to film, or even my coach is like, "Hey, I'm going to film you." Sometimes he doesn't even tell me if he's going to film me, because he just doesn't want to throw me off my game.
Right. Yeah.
I I feel like with the advent of social media, yes, it has become more accepted, but and with all things, it's a double-edged sword, right?
Mhm.
You're getting your personal brands out there. You're saying, "Hey, if I'm a I don't know, 45-year-old mom with two kids, if I can do it, you can do it," kind of thing. Yeah, that's great, especially for these people who, are heavier and, they show progress photos to inspire people. I love the fact that you can use social media to inspire people.
Mhm.
100% love that. Um, Of all things, it's a double-edged sword. How much time are you taking away from your workout, from your pump to get all this done? Is it you
Right.
just make your post, you get in, you get out, or are you like really taking your time to get it done? So
Yeah.
that's kind of where my opinion of it lies. I mean, I'm starting to get into it. I like it. I don't love it. I love training.
Yeah, no, I get it. What's interesting is that I think sometimes your point about being a double-edged sword is so true because if you look at like some of the best like bodybuilders that we have available, and I'll just pick some of the open guys. I know there's many different divisions with top, top people in it, but like a Hadi or Derek or Andrew or Ian or in the, obviously the most probably the most popular bodybuilder classic is C-Bum. And you look at all of them, they have huge social media followings. They constantly put out new content. So I feel like people that follow them or look at them feel like that's also what they need to be doing too. And it kind of feeds itself. Um, I will say that all those people have others that are taking videos of them. They have teams that are working to video them, or maybe it'll be a friend or whoever. A lot of they're not stopping a lot of times their workouts for these, for these shots, for these pictures, for these videos. They're just training, and then the people that are in charge of doing that are doing that. So like, but when you're just getting started or you've only been training for a little bit, your focus needs to be on training. So if you're stopping every time to take a picture, to take a video, it disrupts your workout. You lose your, mind muscle connection. You get cold, whatever the case may be. It's really detrimental, and like you're never gonna get to the point where where you want to be. And I truly think that it is kind of one of those things where because bodybuilding is a business, social media is being used that way. But I think for the younger people that are coming up, it's really detrimental for them, specifically for them. Once you develop the muscle and you develop the look, it can be a little bit easier, to take a picture. You're not gonna, how to train. But when you're learning how to train, it's really detrimental. That's kind of my opinion. I see it in the gym all the time.
Yep, I completely agree. And we're also living in a very interesting time too. I don't think there's been any other time before where a person can become a brand.
Right.
You know, the
Good point.
person is the brand. Sebum is the brand. Even Arnold is the brand.
Right.
Um, so at the same time, yes, they're professionals. They built their base. They've spent years, hours, tons and millions of meals dedicating themselves, building themselves up to get to that level. And it's just something you just cannot accomplish that overnight
Right.
or a week or a couple of months. So for me, my main focus is the training still because I'm not there yet. I'll do my posts, I'll do whatever after I'm done with my workout, or when my trainer wants to film, or whatever, that's fine. But to take the time to set up a tripod, to angle it just right, to get the light, I've tried a couple times, and then I have to like get back into the mindset of, okay, now I'm gonna do barbell rows.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little bit awkward too because do you train in like a public gym?
Yes.
So yeah, so I do too, and it's just awkward to like to be carrying, even though I know everyone does it. Whenever I set up for like a video or something like that, I always like look around. I'm like, am I bothering anybody? Is it, is this like are people are irritated by me doing this? And of course, no one is because this is just how things are. But in my mind, it's like it's so weird to do that. I saw this guy and he was literally going from spot to spot with his big tripod, like just recording himself. And I'm like, it's so not to speak negatively on people, but I'm like, bro, if you take half of that time into your training, like you would have a build worthwhile to video, that's that makes sense. But
100. Sounds.
but yeah, so I was interested in it's you recently just got into social media. You mentioned that, and I'm curious to know like what held you up all this time, and when did you start actually like training as a bodybuilder?
Ooh, let's start with that because that's a long
That's a
story.
longer story. Okay.
That's a long story. So I've always been a little different than most girls. You know, most girls love Barbies and whatever. I've always loved the aesthetic of Xena. I was like obsessed with Xena. When like WWE was WWF China, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that woman could do no wrong in my eyes. I've always been attracted to strong, but yet very beautiful women, women that like they've got that strength, that physicality, that muscularity, and they've got that perfect blend, you know,
Hmm.
of look, it's a woman that can absolutely handle her own strength. I love that. For me, that is beautiful. So I really knew in my heart of hearts I wanted to be a bodybuilder when I was 15 years old. I mean, I even remember like when I was little, I'd be like flexing my little calves in the window, thinking I was all hot shit. Okay, fine. And then moved to Colorado. I was born and raised in Hawaii. So halfway through high school, I left all my friends, you know, my friend group gone. Um, and then I kind of just ate. I think I just ate myself to about 180 pounds.
Okay.
Yeah, at like 17, 18.
Mm.
Weight has always been a struggle for me, um, you know, and in my family. Uh, it's my mom was the one that really took me to the gym, really fostered that, you know, healthy lifestyle mentality. The rest of my family, they're amazing and I love them with all my heart, but they're not the gym going healthy lifestyle type. And that's okay.
Hmm.
Um so but when I moved to Colorado, I just emotionally I ate and I was really stuck at that point. I would say up until my mid to early 20s. And then I met this girl in one of my classes in was it college, and me and her just clicked. We just hit it off, and then we fell off the face of the earth. Come back around a couple years later, she's a female bodybuilder. Female bodybuilder. I couldn't believe it, and her body just completely changed. And she really was the one that got me back into the sport.
Hmm.
And from my mid to late 20s, I did bikini when it first came on the scene back in 2009. I did two bikini shows and then I did a figure show in 2013. And then after that, I was told by others, you know, in my life, like, hey, you know, bodybuilding's great, but you need to like, you know, pursue that career and get that office job and, you know, blah, blah, blah. So I let everything go again.
Hmm.
And then fast forward to, you wouldn't believe me, fast forward to December of this year. 2024. I had always in the back of my mind wanted to compete again. You know, I would go to shows. My mom competes still to this day. She's done shows. She did one in 2019,
Wow.
2020. Yes, she does the natural. She's going to do OCB now, but she did do INBA, PNBA. In the back of my mind, I was always like, oh, I could do this again. I could. And I just, you know,
Hmm.
basically procrastinated for 13, 14 years, right? Um, and then I ended up getting into a major car accident in December of 2024. Major. With no person to the steering wheel. And then it hit me like, it must have hit my head really good. I came to the realization where I'd been helping all these people, my bosses, the office job. I've been helping everybody pursue their dreams, and I wanted to start pursuing mine again. So I've been working with a coach. And I told him basically as soon as my nose was done healing, I'm like, hey, I want to compete. He's like, well, okay then. So me and him started working together in March, and I did my latest figure show on July 19th. and then again on August 2nd of this year.
Yeah. So you said you came to a realization. Was it you said after the car wreck, you decided to do something for yourself?
100%. I mean, it was a dream of mine since I was 15 to do bodybuilding, to do weight training, and I had let so much time go by. And, after dealing with that car accident, where it could have gone so much worse,
Mhm.
I'm just like, I want to go all in on this. I just want to see where this goes.
How
I'm just
how how was the car accident? I guess like what happened, if you don't mind me asking? Was it, was it can you kind of describe it a little bit, like how serious it was?
so what had happened was I was in, it was like left lane, lady in front of me was in the left lane. Um, Nobody was coming in the center lane. And so I'm like, great, I'm gonna go in the center lane. And she had the exact same idea I did. I didn't look and I just went right into
Mhm.
her. And I wasn't wearing my seatbelt. Stupid, very stupid. Wear your seatbelt properly. And I just, it's like emblazoned like a mental image in my mind how I literally just went nose first into the steering wheel. And then the top part ended up hitting my head, broke my nose, blood everywhere. And I really, I remember her getting out of the car. I don't remember what she said. Um, there's a lot about that night that I really don't remember.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
And that,
I definitely, there was a lot of mental rehabilitation for me afterwards. Like I would go to the grocery store and I'd forget where I was. I'd go and grab something, put it in the cart, and I would walk around the store going, "Where's the cart? Where's the cart? Where's the cart?" It was a lot. It was a
it's,
lot.
so you were, I'm sure you were probably concussed, at that point, and yeah.
Yep.
Man, that's such a scary thing. Like, first of all, car accident or like any kind of vehicular accident is so scary. It's like it's and they come out of nowhere, right? Like nobody expects to be in a car accident. So you're just driving and all of a sudden it's just chaos around you, And in your case, you're like blood everywhere and you're trying to figure out things out. You obviously hit your head, so there's a lot of confusion and it's such a scary, situation to be in.
The worst part is that I totally just spilled the tea, and I was like, I was looking at my phone. Oh my god, it's all my fault. I don't even remember saying those words until I looked at the police report, and I'm just like,
You know,
oh
you,
well,
you
what's
know,
done is done. What are you gonna do?
I had the same thing happen actually coming out of the gym, and after that I stopped like doing the whole phone and car thing. I mean, I'll do it like when I'm stopped, but I won't do it like while driving. When I was young, I was doing doing something on my phone, and I looked to the left. I was turning right. I looked to the left to see if there's any cars, and I was apparently just automatically moving forward, driving forward without thinking about it. And as I'm looking here and driving forward this way, I look back and the guy in front of me hadn't moved yet. And I just slammed right into him. Thankfully, nobody got hurt. But at that point, I was like, you know what? I need to be less distracted when I'm driving. It sounds cliche, but like, you're literally driving a a vehicle that's like the weight of a ton. You kill somebody instantly. So I just after that I was like I decided to be a little bit more conscious about how I drive. So yeah, but I was also young, so like stupid young mistake. So,
Happens to us all, I think. It's
right,
funny
right,
how
right. So you competed twice now in figure.
yes.
What made you go to figure and not another division? Was it just something that you kind of got your mindset on, or did you evaluate your physique and decide, okay, well, this is kind of where I fit the best?
That for me was a very easy decision. Um, Being a girl who loves symmetry and muscularity and femininity, for me, figure just felt like the perfect fit. Sydney Gillen, who is the figure goat, I love her physique. It's the look that it's the aesthetic that I'm most attracted to. It's the aesthetic that is my goal. Um, I absolutely respect all the other divisions. Women's bodybuilding, men's bodybuilding. You're building a body, and everybody works really hard. But for me, figure was just the division that I felt fit me the
Hmm.
best.
Hmm. And I mean, looking at your physique, I agree. Like I think that would be good. I think you know, potentially could go to like physique and you know, maybe even bodybuilding. But I think you would have to considerably push the envelope to get there, and who knows if you're gonna, you know, throw off your structure and throw off your some of your, you know, symmetry while doing that. That happens to guys all the time. A lot of times they'll put on more weight and more muscle, and you know, nothing wrong with it, but what happens is they end up throwing off their symmetry, so they don't look as good in certain divisions as they in others. And I think you probably picked the right choice for sure. So
Thank you. And it's so funny because, definitely when I go out in the, especially when I was like super cut, ready for stage, whatever, you'd all get the eyes, especially when the veins are popping out, and people would just be like, whatever, she looks like man, whatever. You get all the stupid comments.
yes, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and I'm just like, but I'm 126 pounds. How
right.
much do you weigh? I want to know. I'm so huge.
Yeah, yeah. That's the funny thing. It's like you'll look at somebody that's you know, that's a competitor that's ready to be on stage, and because they're so lean and so, you know, vascular and everything, regular people will look at them, they're like, "Oh, they're so big." And I'm like, "But you're bigger than they are, like considerably. You just have more fat. That's the difference, you know?" So that's and so it's interesting. You say the last time was in August. Are you planning to compete again before the
Oh,
years?
100%.
Okay.
100% will compete again. I'm gonna take the rest of the year. I really want to add some more shape to my body. I want my shoulders to come in a little bit more. I actually want my triceps to come down a little
Mhm.
bit so they're not like overpowering. I've got, everything, my quads, my legs. I know you can't really see, but I want to get a
Yeah.
little bit more size on my legs. Definitely need to work my glutes more too as well. So
Hmm.
I'm looking on putting on some more size and some
Right.
good quality shape. And then maybe in the middle of next year, kind of depending on how my body reacts.
Yeah. What do you think about you know, about, I guess the best way to put it, like the way figure is going. Like, do you like the look that they're rewarding? Do you feel like the people girls need to be, you know, more muscular, less muscular, like anything, or do you kind of like the standard that they're setting? Because the reason I asked that is because now that Sydney was a little different. She was she wasn't overly muscular. She had some softer, you know, looks to her too, when she's won. Of course, like when she hits her poses, everything's flaring, but they seem to reward Sydney's look. I don't know if there's another girl that's similar to her there yet. I don't know. I might be mistaken. You might know somebody that I don't, but right now it looks like most of the girls have considerably more muscle than Sydney did. And you know, and again, I don't, you probably know more about this than I do. So what do you think is just the overall scope of the division? And if you disagree with me, by all means, go ahead.
I don't know. I absolutely love Sydney's look. I feel like from where figure first when we had like Nicole Wilkins like back in the
Right.
day,
Yeah.
to Sydney to where, she is now. I love the evolution of the division. I really do. I really hope they stick with this standard. Because I feel like right now the women's divisions are very more cleanly defined.
Hmm.
Especially with the split in women's bikini where Now we have fit model, which really is like classic bikini when it first started back in 2009. Like
Right.
that's
Yeah.
the look. Now it's allowed bikini to kind of evolve and do its thing. Now we kind of have this split between figure, women's figure and women's physique. I really pray that they do stick with this standard, but they probably won't because we all know we all know divisions evolve. But I hope they stick with someone who comes as close to Sydney's physique as possible.
I
I
mean,
mean,
I
Sydney
know.
was a mass monster. She was not like she wasn't like oh my god, like she wasn't a mass monster, but she was able to bring the perfect balance of shape, proportion, um, again symmetry, which is what figure is all about.
Right. Right.
She just brought it all to the table and femininity and grace.
Yeah.
She was able to do that.
Yeah, and I remember when I first went to an Arnold Classic, and she was there, and she just I think she just or right before her one she won her first Olympia, and we talked and took pictures, and then I saw her last year at the Arnold, and like I showed her the picture of like the difference between it and how like how much younger like we both looked, and like how much like things have changed, and now it's funny to like see her back then. She was just getting started, young girl, she our high expectations for her for sure, and now 8 time, is it eight? Does she won eight?
Yes.
Yeah, eight
Yes.
time.
Each time.
Yeah, 8 time Miss Olympia, figure Olympia. So it's like a lot has, progressed. I'm curious to know if she's gonna come back. Do you think that? I mean, from when I talked to her, she said that she's stepping away because she's gonna, have kids and all that. I'm curious as after that, will she decide to try to come back? What do you think?
So,
No.
I feel like once you're a competitor, and especially if you have that bug, once if this is something you truly love, once a competitor, always a competitor.
Mhm.
And what's beautiful about bodybuilding is that you can compete. You can compete until forever if you want to.
They have masters divisions now. Like I've seen some of the guys that are like, I think it was like
60.
over, yeah, 60, like, and they look amazing. Like some of
Yeah,
them
they're
look
shiny
amazing.
60-year-olds.
Yeah. They look incredible. They look better than like the 30-year-olds that I see at the gym. So
That's because they're not on their phones.
right, right. There you go. That's the key. Don't get on your phones. You look great. Oh
Exactly.
man. So there was a girl, I can't remember, and it's funny because I know who she is very clearly in my mind, but I can't remember her name. She's from Puerto Rico, and she's been doing very well for many years. And now that Sydney is gone, I wonder if she's gonna, start like competing for that first place spot. Um,
Lola, is it? Lola.
Not Lola, it's
Jessica. Jessica?
Jessica. Yes,
That's
Jessica.
correct. Yes.
So
Yes, she
and
looks like I actually have a picture of her on my phone too as well because I'm like sometimes when I'm just like I'm not like oh I'm just not feeling it or whatever. I'm in the
Mhm.
parking lot and I'm getting ready to go in. I look at her picture and I'm just going, all right, I'm gonna go in
Yeah,
there.
yeah. Like she has got a great physique, but I would classify, like if I'm looking at her versus Sydney, I would classify her as like a more of a muscular, bigger physique. And so, and I think I at this point, I think she's gonna be a shoe-in along with a couple other girls for that, Olympia title. So we'll see. I guess we'll
I'm
see what
excited for
happens.
the Olympia this year. I truly, truly am for the figure division. It's wide open.
Yeah.
This is going to set the standard after Sydney. So it's a super exciting time.
Yeah. I was very bothered. And I get it, like I get the explanation that they gave, but I was very bothered when the Arnold removed the figure division from
Ooh,
it
that's
was.
a fancy topic for me still.
Yeah, it's what did you think? Just since you kind of had that reaction right now. What did you think of the whole situation there?
I found it extremely unfortunate.
Hmm.
I truly did. Because the women's figure division was the first branch off to female bodybuilding, right?
Yeah.
It was the first kind of like fracture. Back in the day, I think it was what was it, the early 2000s was when it happens. Um, so seeing that, I would love to know the reason why. And it almost made me feel like figure is a dying division. And it doesn't have the same pull as now, say, we have wellness, and now we
Mhm.
have bikini, and now we have fit model. What I will say about those three divisions is that it is a lot more palatable mainstream
Yes.
of an aesthetic.
Yes.
I get it, 100% understand. It's also far more accessible, especially fit model.
Hmm.
Far more accessible, so it's going to have a bigger reach.
Right.
Um, Once you start to get into women's figure, women's physique, women's bodybuilding, and heck, even a shout out to women's fitness, which not a lot of people even do anymore.
Yeah,
Does that,
fitness is a close knit community. Fitness, there's not a
yeah,
lot of fitness competitors. Yeah.
there aren't. And I think the most exciting the most exciting division, the one that I wish I could do, but I have two left feet because I'm just too white to dance. I'm sorry. Um, I find fitness to be the most exciting division because not only you dieted down, you're water depleted, but now have to come up with like this high energy dance and get everybody involved.
Hmm.
That's hard work.
Yeah, I had Missy on the show actually a few times, and she's a great interview, and she really like explains everything well, and and you can tell she loves the division. But I think at this point, if I understand what's happening correctly, I think she's gonna go ahead and switch over to a figure if she hasn't done it already, because. I think she got hurt, and then I think it's just at this point it's getting to a time where she doesn't necessarily want to be, doing backflips and tumbling and all that stuff. So it'll be exciting to see that too. So,
Completely understand. But yes, so the divisions, I would say, women's bodybuilding, figure, physique, fitness, they just don't have the same draw or mainstream aesthetic appeal as bikini, fit model, and wellness do. They
right.
just don't. But that's for me, it's okay. Because for me, I'm doing this solely for the goals that I want to achieve, for what I want my body to look like, for, what in my little 15-year-old brain, predetermined this is what we want to be.
Yeah, I agree with you about the mainstream part of it totally, and it's because of the muscle, right? Like it's the leanness in the muscle. That's essentially it. Like right on the in the mainstream, um they're not used to seeing, I would even say people like that, big and muscular. And I know like to us, they're like figure, it's not that big and muscular, like comparatively speaking, but to regular people, they are. And so, but body like male bodybuilders kind of have the same thing. Like no male bodybuilders, or like open bodybuilders are gonna be super popular mainstream. It's just not gonna happen. They're too big, too wide, too everything. Um, so it's kind of the same thing. My issue is that the Arnold is not mainstream. I mean, it's a bodybuilding show. Like the people that go there go to see bodybuilders, like of different divisions. So so it's not mainstream. So I don't like really I don't really see the reason why figure would need to be taken out, just because like the people that go to the Arnold go there for this sport. They're not going there for advertisements for companies or anything like that, like mainstream companies or or Vogue or whatever, this or that. They're coming there for specifically for this sport. So that's what figure is. It's a good representation of females in the sport, and I think it's a very balanced representation because it's figure is that line between like you have bikini and wellness and then physique and bodybuilding. And figure is that middle line, it's kind of in between of everything. And so you get that symmetry, the muscle, the leanness, the look, the femininity, it's kind of all wrapped into one. And so I was ashamed, like you said, it was
Yeah.
unfortunate.
It
Yeah.
was extremely unfortunate, and I wish I could ask somebody what the logic was, what the reasoning was. Um, but yeah, like I said, just is extremely unfortunate, and
Yeah. I
is
mean,
what it is.
honestly, you could like the Arnold doesn't invite a lot of competitors, so you could have made it like a smaller, like you didn't need to have 10, 15, 20 figure competitors at the Arnold. You just, like five or six, like, seven, like seven of the top, invited competitors. And it would have been a great, addition. But who knows? Maybe they'll add it later. You never know. So.
Yeah, never know. Hopefully next year will be different.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. And yeah, so you said middle of next year you're thinking
That's the goal.
that's the goal. Is there a show like in mind that you're thinking of next year? Or are you just saying like during that time period there if a show comes up you'll jump into it?
During that time period, yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, just during that time period, not sure where particularly, not
Mhm.
sure, if local here, staying in Anaheim, or, gonna do something a little different. But my goal is to really just put on some good quality size, grow, just really give my body an opportunity to grow.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I
Mhm.
mean, you got to have good off seasons, right, to improve. It's like you can't improve. Part of like what like I help people with is sometimes people will hire me for like the like a week or two before the show or just do their prep. But a lot of times I'll get people to like have me look at them during the off season. And that's just as important. Like sometimes people feel like the off season is just the time to relax and eat a bunch of
No,
food. That's the time
no.
to work. That's the time to work.
Yes, it's crazy because even though my coach and I were training a little bit before I started prepping for all these shows, now we're still working together, and it's an entirely different training game. Like there's training for when you're getting ready to compete. There's training for when you want to grow, and they're both important. And I feel like I don't like to call it I like to call it growing season because I feel
Mhm.
like or improvement season because I feel like mentally for me that just puts me in like the mindset of I'm improving my package for the
Yeah,
next go around. I'm improving myself, I'm improving myself, I'm improving myself, and then when it's time to prep and lean out, then it's just like, okay, then it's like serious go time. But no, you have to work just as hard. You have to work just as hard. You're
yeah.
just working differently.
Right. Yeah, agree. And I like that. I actually like that phrase improvement season instead of off season. A lot of people are using it now.
Mhm.
And I think it's true. It's like that's the correct definition of what's happening. It's not an off season, it's an improvement season. Yeah. So I totally agree with that. So we had some questions. I know you sent me some questions of some,
Yes, I,
but
I got
yeah.
you got them all. I got
Yeah,
them
yeah,
all.
I got them on here unless I missed some, and then I have some other ones that were sent to me. So we'll kind of run through them, see what we can get through. So the first one is meal preparation necessary? What do you think?
Absolutely. Uh, yeah, 100%. Look,
Yeah,
bodybuilding, you need your food. Um, it's a lifestyle, you know,
yeah,
and it nobody can get to a professional, be the best version of themselves if they're disorganized, right? And that especially means your food as a competitor. Yeah, you basically your food is what's going to take you from your normal average physique to just whatever to what sebum is. If
Right.
it wasn't for, all the professionals having their meal plans prepped, having everything dialed in, eating at a certain time, getting enough protein, getting enough carb, meal prep is 100% necessary no matter what your fitness goal is. If your fitness goal is to cut and to lose weight, you better have your meals prepped, or else you're not
Right.
going to have your meals prepped, and then you're going to go to fast food and you're going to get something shitty that you're not supposed to eat, right? When
Yep.
you're trying to bulk, you got to make sure you got enough calories. You got to make sure everything is weighed and measured. You, for me, meal prep it's the number one commandment I feel in bodybuilding. It has to be done. No,
That phrase about out training your food, like that's, it's not a thing. Like out training, you can't out train your food. It's like what if you can train all you want, but if the food that you're taking in is subpar, then you're going to have a subpar physique. And the way you control that is through preparation. So I 100% agree. You can't really bodybuild without meal prepping. It's just a fact. So,
yes, as a bodybuilder, you need to be organized. Number one, organizing your food,
right, absolutely
organizing your prep. 100% have to do.
have to do it. Got it. All right. So, what are the long-term side effects of taking steroids? So, this is a little spicy question.
So, what are long-term effects of anything? I feel like there is a line between use and abuse, right? You can say that with alcohol, you can say that with caffeine, you can even say that with food. You can use food as a tool, or you can abuse it and go on a major binge. Um, I feel like we all can read about the long-term side effects of steroids. Um, I think the question needs to be rephrased to what are the long-term side effects on someone who's been using it for 15 years as opposed to someone who just tried it once or 5 years,
Hmm.
someone who is injecting, I don't know, ungodly amounts of sus and d-ball versus someone who just is getting ready for a show and has been prepping for, I don't know, a couple months, but they've been doing competitions for 5, 10 years, and they use their Anavar, just a little bit of Anavar to help them get over that hump. I feel like they're going back to what I originally said. There's a line between use and abuse. Use is okay, abuse is not.
Right. My advice would be minimal effective dose.
Mhm.
It's minimal effective dose. How little you can take while still getting to the point where you need to or want to be at.
Mhm.
There's no reason to throw, a whole bucket into something when you can just pour a glass. And I feel sometimes like in today's day and age, and again, social media might play a factor into this. But people will take 10 times the amount, 20 times the amount of what they need, and that can cause damage. And also with that, I will say get get your blood work, check your you
Yes.
know check your vitals, your blood pressure, this and that. Just make sure that you keep an eye on it, because if something starts going out of hand, it doesn't mean you have to stop bodybuilding, but you do need to address it. So, and a lot of times people will put their head in the sand. Their blood pressure is through the roof. They won't check it because they don't want to know. And eventually that causes
That's ridiculous.
issues.
If
So,
you
yeah,
if you don't want to know, if you don't take care of yourself, I mean that's like the bare minimum, getting your blood work done.
yeah.
You're doing this to, I mean, you go, hopefully you go to the doctor to get checkups, you get a full physical.
Mhm.
This is just as important.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I think we're aligned in that. So the next question is about supplements. So now non-steroids, supplements. What do you think some of the best supplements that a person can use?
Food. I mean, I think your number one supplement top has to be Food, making sure your food's dialed in.
Mhm.
Second best, I mean, I feel like supplements, the food is your cake and the supplements are frosting. It's nice to have, but it's not necessarily. I feel like if you're going to have one supplement, protein powder.
Yeah,
That's
agreed.
it. I feel like
Agreed.
if you can always substitute coffee for pre-workouts. You can get your BCAAs from, certain foods. I mean, now they have BC amino acids, in protein powder, but I feel like if you want to stick with just one, protein powder.
Yeah, I agreed. If I had to pick one, I mean, the rest are all luxuries. But I would say, and I will also add this: creatine is has been shown to be effective, but personally, it's been a long time since I've used creatine. So, but outside of that, I would say protein is the number one thing because it's just very difficult in our Western diet to get enough protein. Like I even like I went through one day I decided I'm going to use an app to see how much like macros, and this is when I was a little bit younger, and, how many macros I get throughout the day. And as I'm doing it, I'm realizing, ooh, like I thought I was eating a lot of protein, but in reality, it was a fraction of what I thought it was. And so it just goes to show you that, just because something is meat doesn't necessarily mean it has a lot of protein. Just because something says it has a lot of protein, like on the package, doesn't mean it has a lot of protein. So I think protein powder is the one thing that if I had to spend my money on, that would be the one thing that would do it.
100% agree.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah. So let me see here. Which helps weight loss better, lifting or cardio?
I think that depends on the goal of your aesthetic. Are you losing weight just to move the scale? Or then you can end up with like a skinny, what they call skinny fat look or
Hmm.
whatever? Or are you looking for more fat loss,
Right.
which means the scale may not move at all, but your body is recomped in a different way.
Right.
Um, Honestly, I feel like you need both. You absolutely need both. You need cardio to maintain the cardiovascular health of your body, to get that sweat going. Um, but you also need weights to increase your metabolism.
Right.
Cardio sessions don't increase your metabolism like putting on muscle does.
Yeah, I think this question is kind of like a little bit tricky because when people say weight loss, regular people when they say weight loss or non-fitness people when they say weight loss, they mean how can my body look better? I think that's what they're really asking. They say weight loss, but that's what they're associating with how can my body look better? And to your point, I think you need both. You need to do your cardio, you need to do your weightlifting, you need to eat right. That's how your body's going to look better. That's how you're going to lose fat. That's how you're going to gain muscle.
Mhm.
If all you're doing is just losing weight, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to look better in the mirror, and that's kind of the bottom line of
I don't know.
that. How many times a week should I train?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Again, we got to go back to what's your goal. Um, I would say for myself, I like to move once a day. Even on days that I just active rest, quote unquote, I'll do yoga, I'll walk, I'll get my body moving in some way every single day. Not to the intensity every single day because you have to recover, but I feel like moving your body once a day. We've got such sedentary lives
Right.
right now. We're
Agreed.
always sitting and sitting, doing more sitting. I feel like it's so important just to get up, go for a walk, go outside, go do some yoga. So once a day, move your body. But now if you're gonna say how much should you lift, how much should you train, again, that depends on your goal. But I would say a good round number would be 4, 5 days a week if you're getting ready for a show, then
Mhm.
maybe 6.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
true. True. And again, like weight, like when you say train, like what are we talking about? We're talking about weightlifting. To me, you know, I'm thinking weightlifting, but if you're saying any kind of physical activity, you should be doing it something every day. I mean, I think that's a good goal. Um, but again, like you're saying, if you're someone that's actively pursuing a show, then it needs to be ramped up. If you're just a regular person, you can kind of adjust it. But I think you should do something every day, something physical. And I agree with you. We do live a very sedentary lifestyle. It's hard to even imagine, but like until you like see how other people live, maybe in like other places of the world, how they move and how they walk all the time everywhere. It's like we don't do any of that here. And I think that's a real detriment. Mhm.
100% agree.
All right. So the other two questions are kind of similar. Like what food should I avoid? The next one is like what food should I eat? So, um, I mean, what food should I eat? I think that's kind of like, I don't know if that's even worth talking about unless you want to, but what food should I avoid? Is there anything that you would avoid completely?
I wouldn't say completely, but foods that I do my best to avoid or at least not have in the house is sugar. Anything sugary, anything
Mhm.
sweet. Um, because I know for me, when I get that little bit of sugar, it just triggers something in my brain where I just want to devour it, just like go all out and just
Yeah.
consume the entire cake. So on my cheat meals, I'll order a slice of whatever because it's nice, pre-portioned out. I'm not bringing it home with me. Um, scoop of ice cream, whatever. I think for myself, I don't want that in my house.
Mhm.
Chips are another one. So anything super sugary sweet, anything like chips where, I'm just mindlessly eating. For me, I avoid it completely because it's just too much. I just want it out of the house.
Yeah, I agree. And like you were talking about earlier that during your life you had some difficulties with weight, and so I'm in the same boat. Like I've always been more leaning on the side of overweight than underweight. Great for building muscle, not so great for, being lean. And so yeah, I totally agree with you. Not having things in the house makes a big difference, you know.
Yes, 100%. Just don't
Yeah.
have it around.
Yeah, that's it. Because if you have it around, eventually, I mean, like, I get willpower and all this, but I always feel like part of willpower is making decisions that are sound and good. And that way you don't have to make a stand on everything. You can, so if beforehand I know myself and I'm like, hey, I know this is going to be difficult. I'm going to make a good, sound decision not to have this in the house. Then
Yes.
that's part of willpower. You made that choice.
You want to set yourself up for success.
Right, exactly. So there's some more questions. I'm kind of going to run through some of them here. What's your go-to post-show, excuse me, post-show meal or treat? What did you have this last time?
Southern girl at heart. I love me some good fried chicken, chips, cornbread,
Corn, not cornbread. Oh,
and just a big old glass of sweet tea. I'm
mm.
good.
So that's very southern. Yeah,
Yeah, it's crazy. Everyone's like, "You want fried chicken after your show?" Yes, I want fried chicken. You heard me
something
right. Fried chicken. Chicken. Yes, I said chicken. I said it.
something about
Uh,
that the fried chicken skin tastes so good. It's hard to beat
with
that.
that crunch.
Hmm.
Mhm. Yes, sir.
Um, So what would you say the hardest part of prep is that no one really talks about? And maybe there aren't really anything that no one talks about, but like what would you say the hardest part of prep is for you?
This is gonna sound wackadoodle, but for me, the hardest part of prep was after.
Hmm.
Was the post show. Um, you know, it was especially being a woman, right? Where I was in this weird space where I loved how thin my skin looked. I love the vascularity.
Mhm.
Um, I loved how shredded and ripped and peeled I looked. And after the show, and I mean, yes, here's also what's true. This is something that nobody talks about. When you're getting ready for a show and you are lean and you look amazing, people start coming out of the woodwork. People are like, hey, how are you doing? How's prep? People like show you attention. And that's
Mhm.
amazing. And that feels so good. And then after the show, your body starts to soften up a little bit. Things kind of start to go back to that homeostasis, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And people kind of move on. And then you have to get used to seeing your body in a different light, not being so lean. And for someone who worked so hard to achieve that goal, it can be very destabilizing. It can be
Yeah.
very like, oh my gosh, am I going back to where am I getting fat? Oh my god, where's all this fat coming from? And it's just I feel like the part of prep that nobody really talks about that really should be discussed is the post show mentality.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's tough because it's like you spend all this time putting yourself in, the most peak condition, and then, shortly after you start noticing yourself soften up, and that's, mentally that's a tough thing. It's but it's like a necessity because people that try to stay, and this is kind of veering off to a different subject, we won't necessarily go into it, but people that try to stay extremely lean and stage ready all year round tend to be the ones that have the most health ramifications because they tend to be the ones that have to push, push, push all year, 12 months out of the year because they can't mentally take the fact that they have two looks. One look is a stage look, one look is a regular life, look. And it's it can be tough on them. So
Yes.
yeah.
And our bodies weren't meant, especially as women, our bodies were not meant to run at sub 10% body fats.
Right, right, exactly.
This was not meant to happen. And then there's a reason why things start to shut down, right?
Mhm.
Your libido starts to shut down, your energy levels start to shut down. It's because your body literally is thinking, we are going to die, so I am going to shut all these other non essential processes down and just
Right.
focus on survival. You are in survival mode when you're at sub 10, especially for
Yeah,
women.
yeah, yeah, 100%. And I think that's a good point that there is like there are some similarities obviously between men and women during, competition and all that. But then there's a really distinct specific things that go on with women that men don't have to deal with. And so I think that might be a topic for a different podcast episode. But yeah, that's for women it's there's certain things that just don't happen with men, and like it really needs to be discussed. um so do you have any pre-stage ritual or something that you always do before stepping on stage?
I pray. Honestly, I do. I just pray that everyone does the best they can and that
Mhm.
nobody breaks an ankle on stage. You say,
Yeah.
Dear Lord, help me get through this and help everybody give it their best and let us all be healthy afterwards. That's it.
Yes, stay safe. Yeah,
Exactly. Stay safe. Staying safe is the most important thing.
for sure. And do you have any advice to women getting into the sport? Yeah, especially like younger girls, but anybody, really anybody, but yeah.
Be patient. I think number one is be patient with yourself. Give yourself grace and be very discerning with what your goal is, your ultimate goal is. Understand what your why is. Why are you doing this? Because once you have a why, you no one can throw you off your course.
Hmm. Agreed. So next few questions, and I'm going to try to run through them. You don't have to spend a long time answering them, but they're more drug related for the sport. So do all figure competitors have to use performance enhancing drugs, or is it possible to be competitive naturally?
It's 100% possible. If you want to compete naturally, they've got tons of amazing natural divisions. They have OCB, they have INBA, PNBA. I have a huge respect for the natural divisions because, I mean, they can't even have like certain types of pre-workouts. They have to be extremely careful with whatever supplements they're taking, PEDs or otherwise. So it's absolutely possible.
Yeah. All right, agreed. And what about as far as pressure to use steroids? Have you felt that there's an extreme pressure for women to get on PEDs when they're competing in like in a uh, where in a division or organization where PEDs are commonly used?
I have not experienced that. I have not experienced that pressure. Now, I will say that
Yeah,
if you are pressured or are being pressured, leave.
yeah. And I don't.
Because for
Go ahead.
someone to take these PEDs, it ought to be a very personal choice. It shouldn't be any pressure.
Right. And I don't know if this person was asking it more from the sense of like you are pressuring yourself because others are you see others maybe involved, in taking them. But that obviously it doesn't seem like that happened to you.
You know what's nice about getting older? I don't care what other
Yeah,
people think.
yeah,
So
that's
if
true.
I'm going to do something, I want to do something. I'm not pressured. If people don't like what I'm doing, kiss my grits. Couldn't care less.
Is there a misconception about women on PEDs that do you think is common? Like, is there like one thing you'd like to, I guess the question is like rebut or, talk about that's common as far as misconceptions of women
Here's
on
what I
gear?
will, here's what I do believe the common misconception is with PEDs. You can't just sit on the couch and take PEDs and then
True.
all of a sudden be an Olympia competitor. It doesn't work that way. You still have to put in the work.
Right.
You still have to diet. You still have to do your cardio. So now I have a question. My question is, what is the difference between taking a PED and with all the rage right now, GLP-1 injections? Tell me what the difference is. I don't know.
There isn't. Right. Like in my
It's,
mind, there isn't. Yeah.
you still have to put in the work.
Yeah.
If anything, you still have to put in the work even more when you're on PEDs because unfortunately, this is something people are going to learn. Muscle takes time to grow.
hmm Yeah, I 100% agree, and it's like there was I think I was talking to somebody and where they were discussing that in the '90s the whole thing with baseball, McGuire and all that, and them getting busted for steroids in baseball, and my thing is whatever McGuire and all those baseball players took, that's not what made them great baseball players. And so
No,
like they were great baseball players, without like that it's like it wasn't the little bit of testosterone that made him hit hundreds of home runs of every game or every season. And so so this whole concept that this one thing is somehow a miracle and it will accomplish everything you ever wanted with no problems and no setbacks or anything like that is complete falsehood. I mean, it's just a tool in the toolbox. You still have to put
100%.
in the work. Yeah,
100%.
true. I think this one we kind of talked about a little bit, but do drugs affect women and men differently?
Oh, absolutely. We
Yeah,
have different biochemistries. 100% they affect men and women differently.
yeah,
Absolutely.
true. Let me see here. I think we kind of talked about that one. What um any so it's kind of the similar question. You talked about advice for women, but this one is specific asking with regard to drug side effects. Is there anything that I'll just read the question. What advice would you give to women who are curious but cautious about the drug side of the sport? So, yeah.
Curious but
Mhm.
cautious.
So maybe they're somewhat the way I read that is maybe they were somewhat interested in getting involved in bodybuilding and maybe possibly using some PEDs, but they're kind of maybe a little bit skeptical, a little bit cautious. Is there is there anything that like you would
If
be
you're skeptical, I think there's a difference between skepticism, caution,
true? That I mean that probably
and
wasn't the right word. Yeah.
discernment.
Hmm.
Again, I go back to that word. If you're skeptical, you probably shouldn't take it at all.
True.
You're probably not ready or haven't done your research on what the side effects could be. And you also have to be okay with doing it yourself, right? Um, and then discerning, really making sure you do your research into finding a source.
Yeah.
So if you have any hesitation, I would err on the side of caution and say don't do it.
Good advice. I
But that's
agree.
just me.
Yeah, no, good advice. Yeah. I think if you're not fully committed in your
Mhm.
mind, then at
You
that
have to
point,
be fully
yeah,
committed. You have to, and then you have to be able to look at yourself in the mirror. Whatever happens,
right,
whatever occurs, I'm okay with this decision.
right. And it's like any other decision in life, right? It's like the responsibilities fall on you. So that's why you should be the one that are making that decision and not allow others to have too much. I'm not to say people can't have advice, but you don't want to allow them to have too much input, direct input into your decision because they're not the ones that are going to have to deal with whatever consequences or benefits that come from that, you know? So, and the last one I have here is I know we talked earlier about people saying, "Oh, you're so big." Was there any time where people like you felt judged or stereotyped with regard to PEDs? Has anyone like, do people comment on like, "Oh, you're on
It's just
drugs"?
stereotyped all the time now.
Yeah.
But I don't care. I mean, I really don't.
Hmm.
This is the look that I want. This is the goal that I want. Um, I don't want to look like them. The loudest boos come from the cheapest seats, and people's like, "Oh, she looks like a man," and I'm like, "Well, maybe you should train, and you could look like a man too. How about that?"
Right.
Or women with who are just normal, average bodies, like, "Oh my gosh, she looks so manly," and I'm like, "And you've got cellulite rolls out your butt. Don't
That,
lie to yourself and think that looks attractive because it doesn't. At least
that's
not to my eyes." But I would never go up to someone who is not in peak physical condition. I would be like, "Oh, your body looks bad." That's just rude.
yes, yes, the
That's
truth.
just rude. Just for me, let people live. If someone wants to go and be fat, go. If that's what they enjoy. If someone like me who loves, like, I want to be muscle. I love that anabolic Barbie look. Like, let me do me. If you want to go and be real, way thin, I would suggest help. Live and let live.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that I think that's a great comeback when if a guy says, "Oh, she looks like a man," I was like, "Maybe you go train, you look like a man too." That's the best comeback ever. It's
Thank you.
uh,
There's a lot of those on Instagram.
yeah, yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like and I've had like I'll be hanging out with people and guys will be like, oh well, she looks too manly, XYZ of a bodybuilder, and I'm like, if she looks too manly, and they were talking about, I can't remember who it was, but it wasn't somebody we would consider overly muscular or anything like that, but she was in the industry, And I'm like, if she looks too manly, I'm like, what is that? Like, what does that mean? This person, it wasn't even that muscular. And I'm like, it's such it is funny to see what people consider like that aren't into working out and fitness, what they think muscle looks like. Sometimes I was driving with a family member, and there was a guy like walking or something on the street, and they were like, "Oh, he's so muscular," and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, my ideas of muscle must be different because I like this guy looks so thin and very little muscle. But like, I think when you don't regularly see people that work out, any kind of any kind of level of muscularity, even if it's like the very minimal genetic, level, it's like to you that looks huge. And in reality, it's not, and so I think that's sometimes what we run into. So,
And I think what we've really lost in this society, I'll say this day and age,
mhm,
um, we've lost the ability to say, while that is not the aesthetic that I find attractive, I
mhm,
can respect it.
sure. Yeah.
It's like I don't
Yeah.
like the artistic movement of surrealism, but I respect it.
Right, right. Yeah, true. And I there's divisions that for men and women, there's divisions that I find appealing, and then there's divisions that I find, a little less appealing, let's say. But I enjoy like I still watch them compete. I still enjoy like seeing who's better. I still, you know, find them appealing to a degree. And so like I think it's like you said, it's your outlook that needs to like change rather than, you know, that individual, so to speak.
Exactly. And I mean, here's
Right.
also what's true is that not everybody is going to be everybody's cup of tea.
Right.
I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea.
Right.
And I'm all right with that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, totally the same. Same. Anyways, well, I really appreciate you coming on the show. I know we kind of ran longer than I said we would, but I really enjoyed talking to you.
Me too. This was great. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I really did have a great time.
Yeah, of course. And guys, I'm going to link everything at the bottom here for the video, any kind of information that you might need. Is there anything else that if somebody wanted to reach out to you, like what would be the best way for them to do it? Maybe for more podcasts or anything like that?
I would say my Instagram,
Okay.
Instagram handle.
Awesome. I'll link that at the bottom too. So
Thank you.
sounds good. Thank you, T. Take care.
Thank you,
Have a
Evan.
good
Have
have
a
a
good
good night.
night.
Good night.
Bye.